Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. I'm here with Carrie, who is having some issues with your horse, Harlan. Yes. And could you just tell us a little bit about why you had me come out today?
Yes, I got Harlan in October and we rode really well for 6 weeks. And then she stopped wanting to go forward for me. She stopped wanting to canter and then stopped wanting to trot and then stopped going forward at all and then began rearing. Some of them are what I call baby rears, but I've had a few really impressive rears. Haven't landed on the ground yet, but I have had multiple x-rays. She's been treated for ulcers, scoped for ulcers, body work, gave her NSAIDs for a few days. She's been out with a trainer for a month while I was out of town, and we've been working with lessons since then, and we've made some progress, but she's still rearing when I ask her to go forward. We can't find a physical reason for her to be doing this to me.
How long would you say this has been going on?
3 months. And we've tried a couple of saddles and other riders, and my trainer can get on, fussy horse, no rearing. Another friend got on and almost immediate rearing.
I want to check her out, and I asked you if you were comfortable to ride her first, and so you don't really want to do that.
I want a Marlboro Man rear.
Yeah, so it's getting a little intimidating.
Got it, but the big rears, sometimes I'm looking at the ground. Thinking, am I going to be down there?
Yeah, so we'll try to not push it too much. But the reason I really want to see Carrie working with her is, for me, from the video, she sent me a couple of videos, and it was hard to tell if it was the horse or the rider, what's going on there. And so, of course, I'm going to check the horse out on the ground, make sure it's understanding pressure. But I also want to see, just from you, there might be some things that we need to have you change, especially since it sounded like the trainer was having more success riding the horse than you were. And so that lends me to think there's probably some holes in the horse's understanding, but there's probably some adjustments that we can have you make too to help too.
I'm all for it, because I might let something slip, because there is some frustration involved in this process.
So as you guys can see, she's using a device like a kind of a martingale. She's calling it a neck stretcher. It's a really soft bungee elastic that goes around the pole of the headstall on her bridle. And I've never seen one of those before, but I don't like to have people change things when I first come out and see the horse. I want to just observe what they're using and try to figure out and understand where the problem is developed. And then with this device, I kind of realized it really has nothing to do with either helping her or hurting her. It's just kind of there. But I didn't want it to interfere with some of the exercises that I was showing her. So later on, I'm going to have her take it off.
Finding the inner goal.
I was just curious about it.
There you have it. She doesn't want to go forward. I'm going to try to refrain from using profanity. She doesn't want to go away from the pasture.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now we're going to go. See, we were thinking she may or may not show off. This is bad, actually. Go. Thank you.
What have you ate so far today?
What have I eaten? Leftover boneless, skinless chicken breast, a little bit of rice and strawberries, and several pieces of chocolate.
Perfect.
Trying to get my mind off of this?
So the reason I asked her what she had for breakfast is because I wanted to do a little check to see how kind of right brain she was going on me. The more fear and anxiety we get inside us, the more our brains kind of retreat to our most basic instincts. And it's really hard for a person to hear information when you're in that mode. I don't know exactly the name for it, but it's kind of like your reptile brain, like you're going back to a stronger flight or fight instinct. So just a quick little check to see where she's at and see if we can keep moving forward. Now, can you stop her for me and back up?
Sure.
And then trot on. And so do you feel like this will go well as long as you're trotting around, but if you ask for canter, it would get...
I have not been brave enough or ready to ask for a canter in this scenario, because she has given me a couple of good rears asking her to not slow at the trot. She has stopped and reared. I'm not ready to ask for that at the canter.
Gotcha.
That's not safe for me, because she's caught me off guard more recently in the trot mode.
So just go ahead and give her a loose rein and just stand there and hang out for a second.
Okay.
And we're gonna let her just like let down a little more.
It takes her a
see
while.
there, see there how
Yeah.
she let down? So by her passing the back up to trot, there's a completely different place in their brain to think stop and back up compared to thinking forward, which is why, like for Western horses, we'll get them cantering around, we call it loping around or jogging around, and we won't ask for a stop until they're thinking about stopping. So they're going forward without thinking about going forward. They're ready to stop. That's when you have a really big stop in there. Where for English horses, you want them thinking more forward, right? And so you can get her into that forward mindset more by doing transitions. And a difficult one is either two things, going into a backup and then immediately into it.
Immediately into the canter?
No, immediately into trot.
Okay.
Trot's hard enough.
Yeah.
Another way would be like by letting her down, we're getting her into what I would call more of an automatic in behavior mindset. And actually go ahead and just turn around and face the other way, because it would be easier to go that way than it would be to go away from the herd. Now just sit. Yep, and just let her let down again. And so that we can kind of get her, she can go from being in a slightly concerned mindset, which is where we're riding horses most of the time when they're kind of ready for something. I'm just giving it a name, I'd call it a concern. Curious is when the ears are forward and they're looking at things. We love that mindset, but that's kind of fleeting. It comes and goes. It's hard to keep them curious all the time. Our horses will all be going around with their ears forward all the time if that was that easy. Automatic in behavior is below those 2 points. And that's what I would say she was in, getting tacked up. And then when you got on her, she was not concerned. She was in the, I'm just chilling right now, and now you're asking me to do something. And so I'm kind of testing that right now by having you just sit on her. And I want to see if that'll, like, if you could just go ahead and pick up pretty good contact and try to trot on. So you feel how she kind of had the e-brake on still?
Yep. There she, yeah.
Okay, now come down to a slow trot. Slow trot, almost walking. Think walk. Extended trot.
Ah. See, that's,
Extend the trot.
I don't know if I'm,
That's good.
okay.
Okay, come back to a slow trot again. Slow trot. Slow trot. Slow trot. And extended walk. Extended trot.
Extended trot.
Go. Okay. And find a good spot that you like, and I want you to ask her to halt. Now turn 180 degrees and trot off. No leg in the turn, and trot. Good.
I'm not watching my diagonals for those of you who are watching. I am just trying to listen
back,
to Ryan.
Come back to a walk now. That's good. So just based on you being a little bit unsure of what I was asking for and her response, that tells me that doing that many transitions was a little bit new to you. But I want you to appreciate that every time you get a good transition upward, you're proactively working on legs mean go and getting her to think forward. Transitions will tighten a horse. Go ahead and stop for a second. Transitions will tighten a horse's spring. Go ahead and, yep, let her let down.
Okay.
So transitions will tighten a horse's spring and get them more ready to go. And I feel pretty confident that she has your number.
Oh yeah.
And she kind of intimidates you, and your response. So what's interesting is we all have a flight or fight response to being afraid of something. And a flight response would be like, I'm getting off, I can't do this, I'm exiting the situation. So if you had a flight response to it, that's what you'd have been like, I'm done, Christy, get on her. Does that make sense? You would have just been.
And I try not to do that because then she gets away.
No, you have more of a fight response.
Well, I know that about me.
Oh, so okay.
It's already there. I just
so
have to
I've
use it
known
in the
you
horses.
for a few minutes here, and I watching you work through that tells me you have that fight response. So when she refused you, it was a fight response, but you got reactive, and you put pressure on with a little more
I do,
to
yeah.
it, and it was very quick. And that's going to be harder for a horse to say yes to.
I need to have more increments to my, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's
So
an inherent, like I call it my lizard brain, is saying, be careful.
yes,
right?
and that's when I asked you what you were eating, what you had ate today.
Yeah.
If you couldn't answer that, that would tell me that you're retreating back to your lizard brain and you can't think. You're surviving right now.
No.
And I was just checking. Because I hate to assume that somebody's there because you were unsure about getting on her. Once you got on and going, the more fight response kicked in and you were like ready to go. But you're still not fully breathing, which tells me you still have some tension.
That's nothing new.
You are very capable of working through this.
Okay, good.
We just have to make a couple adjustments.
Okay.
Hey guys, we have an incredible event coming up, the Horseman Symposium. I'm bringing in some of my favorite clinicians and mentors, and we're gonna have one of the most immersive weekends of horsemanship of this year. You guys aren't gonna wanna miss this event, and I wanted to let you know that the early bird price ends May 1st. So get your tickets now while they're available. It's limited to 200 tickets, and I think about half of them are gone already. And so get your tickets now, and I can't wait to see you guys there. Okay, so the first adjustment, I don't know the particular order, but here's one adjustment. When you feel her refusing, she doesn't even have to completely refuse. If you just feel that change in her, your job at that point is to no longer go forward, but to make that mindset uncomfortable. So what I would ask you to do is bend her, like you need to relax first, okay? Because you need to be able to correct a horse with no emotion.
I know.
We give up our leadership card to our horses. They no longer see us as the leader. They see us as a predator, and some horses are going to be more afraid of it. Some horses are going to get more like clashing with that. They're going to argue with that more. And so there's no place for that, okay? So we got to get rid of that. And so you got to relax, and you have to be able and so you're going to diffuse a lot of the issues by just relaxing and not getting into that fight mode of I'm going to send it harder now because she's being reactive here. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is bend her to the side, and I want you to kind of pull and release on the rein while you're using your leg to move her hindquarters around.
My outside leg, same side as the
yes, but it's
outside
not like
leg, inside rein.
yeah.
Okay.
But no horse was finished trained in one learning moment. And I think you could appreciate that as well. There's not one moment that solves all the world's problems. It's an accumulation of well-timed corrections at the appropriate time and place in the right way. Does that make sense? So you're not just going to solve this. I'm not just going to solve this by just one time really getting after her and having a come to Jesus meeting with it. Like that doesn't really, some people think that that's a thing. It's not really a thing. Okay. And so when she goes to that mode, your only job is to go, okay, I see you're in that mindset. I don't want you there. And there's a little bit of time. It's not like you have to do anything instantaneous. You're just going to reach down. You're going to relax first. You're going to reach down, bend her to the side, pull and release, move her hindquarters, and she's on hot lava at that moment. And then I want you to just relax. And you're not going to go anywhere.
So instead of I'm becoming more inherent.
Instead of kicking and cussing.
Well, I didn't cuss. Yeah.
Today.
I'm not a big cusser, but she has brought it out of me. Instead of I feel her slowing, or I'm anticipating it because I'm human, instead of reminding her not to slow down, you want me to bend her and push her with my outside leg.
Yep. We also need to practice this proactively. We can't just wait for something to be going wrong to then work on that skill. So I want her to know that as a correction. And that's a move that I do with a horse. They buck, they think about rearing, they refuse something, they spook at something. I'll even do it, I'll take it to the point where even if a horse whinnies off at the herd, and that tells me, your mind's no longer with me, your mind's with the herd, you get to be on a little hot lava. How much I do it and how long I do it depends on the level of intensity around that situation, right? So this was low intensity when you're practicing it proactively. If she's thinking about rearing, well, we're going to do it a little stronger. And you could even hop off and do it on the ground if that made you feel more comfortable. If it's like a little, half-hearted committed to it. Because each day that you do this, she should be less and less committed. The biggest rear should be completely behind you if you follow my advice here, okay?
So I'm in a lesson, I'm on a mission. Christy says, do X. And I'm mainly trotting at this point. I mean, the walking, I usually get her going. But instead of trying to just go forward in any direction, which is what we're trying to do, like no forward is forward.
When you're in a get-to situation, which is just any time you're enjoying your horse, the only time we're truly in a got-to is like we're at a show, it's life or death to cross the river in front of us because we have to get to the other side. Like very seldom are we really in a got to situation. For the most part, we're in get tos. So if you're in the middle of a lesson, whether it's me or her, she said, we say go, and you can't, you feel that in her, oh, I got to fix that.
Okay.
But then, this is the tricky part for a lot of people, especially people that go to fight mode, then you're going to relax and do nothing. You're going to let her settle.
It's hard for me to do not on a horse.
Because most people would tell you to send them forward out of it. Would you agree? Like that would be yeah, well, a lot of times people would send forward, you would think, I want to release them to going forward. But really, you're halfway there if you just accomplish getting her to understand, going to that place in her brain that says rear
Not an option.
is hot lava. Then the other halfway to your goal is practicing getting her to be in a more forward thinking mindset proactively. So that means we're going to work on transitions, work on going in straight lines to a target and let her get relief, work on going forward when things are going well.
Okay.
And put her in difficult situations too. So a couple things that I asked you to do that were, one, very difficult. This is part of what convinced me this is not a huge issue.
Okay,
I
good.
know it's a big deal to you, but
Yeah.
this is not a huge training issue for her. There's just
Good.
some little adjustments we need to make. If it was a big deal, I would ask if I could ride her. I would be, fixing it. But you're very capable of working through this.
Good.
Okay. So back to what I was saying. One of the hard things I asked you to do was to back her up and then
And
go
trot.
forward. Like if you want to test if your horse follows a feel well on a halter, get them to back up a few steps and then put a feel on it and ask them to trot back to you. Most horses cannot pass that test. They don't follow the feel that well. Now, if they're standing there doing nothing and you try to trot forward, some horses would pass it, some wouldn't. If they're already walking forward, now we're getting easier and easier. Does that make sense? And so I want you to, when I say practice it proactively, that means two things. One of those things is set her up for a lot of easy yeses. You're trotting, let's trot a little faster.
Okay.
Okay? Trot slower, let's trot longer again. You're walking, let's trot. Those are all pretty easy yeses. She did shake her head and give you a little bit of resistance on a couple of those, which tells me that we're hitting the nail on the head just by doing those. That's right where we should be. And when things are feeling good, or if you were wanting to sign her up to get her more committed and have more of a stronger development ride, put her in tougher situations. So this is how we can build depth of understanding to something, is not by just doing it when it's easy and convenient, but also by doing it when it's hard. For instance, stopping, turn 80 degrees and get out of
Okay.
it. That builds that go button. We call those cow horse turns. That's something a lot of us Western riders work on a lot. We don't put pressure on in the turn. We go fast out of the turn because we're actually working on our turn, not our go. We're working on getting the horse to come through the turn with some effort, okay? You're gonna be using it as the turn is putting her in a bind and making it a little harder for her to think forward out of it because you've put her in a bind previous to going. So it's like if you can back her up and trot forward and you can stop and roll back and trot out of it, 100% you can go from a trot to a canter. That's easier than those other two things
Okay.
because she's already thinking forward and now you're saying just give me forward a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense.
Now,
Are you taking notes? Is my trainer taking notes?
it's all on camera.
Okay, good. I'll have to
you'll
review
have
and
this
take
video.
notes because
Yep.
I leave things written down.
So another thing, let's talk back about the situation we had over by the mounting block. You went to fight mode and you were like, I said go, we're going now. We're not going to do that.
Okay.
You're going to make that uncomfortable by bending her around, yielding the hindquarters. Then you're going to settle.
Okay.
Now, if you do this for 5 rides, if I was riding her, I would do that for maybe 5 rides. Then after that, I'm probably going to walk out of it or trot out of it. Okay, I'm probably not just going to settle. But the first few times you do it, I want her to just settle.
That'll be better for me
Because
mentally.
you're taking off too big of a
Yeah.
chunk by saying we're going to do this and then we're going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, this also can be the tricky part when you're in fight mode. If you're not in fight mode, it's easy. Whenever you're asking a horse for a yield, so she's sitting there doing nothing, your job as a rider is to do less first. Okay? So when you asked her to go and you felt a little hesitation, you went, I said go now. Like you're about to go in a barrel racing pattern, you're ready to go. We got to relax that. Okay? And so what I would do is you're settled, we've corrected her or we didn't, we're just hanging out. You're just going to bring your life up and let it have phases of gradually increasing the pressure. What I would say is you're going to bring your life up, just kind of going from you're like right now, you're just sitting.
Yeah, I'm chill.
You're chill, you're hunkered down. Now show me you're thinking about going forward. Like you're kind of ready for us to tell you to trot off. You're not trotting off. There, that's it. Okay? Now, that's the first phase. Step 2, let the energy go down your leg to your heels and just lightly squeeze her. Now let's see what she does here.
Squeezing.
Keep squeezing. Good. Now relax your legs. Yeah, pet her.
She's not very, I mean, the pets are good, but this is not an affectionate animal. I don't know if the pets mean anything.
That's more for you.
Yeah, we
That's
can't
you.
give her treats because
The point is for you to
terrible.
let down.
Okay.
A lot of times when I tell
That's
people to
fine.
pet their horse, because
Certainly.
like she also lowers her head when you switch your intention from you're on to you're relaxing. She almost every time lets down. Like she just also gets a little more soft. So if that's all it accomplishes, that's worth it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, I think in terms of the situation by the round pen, I have been in my lessons when we've been going well and I can either feel something happening, I've actually just taken a breath and I want to slow down and I tell her like, wait a minute, I need it mentally. I would rather say, okay, let me take a breath, you take a breath.
Hot lava first.
Hot lava,
and then,
yeah,
then
hot
take a
lava,
breath.
but
Yep.
I'm not asking her like, go forward, I need you to go forward, what's going to happen?
Yes.
Because that's where my brain is. I'm like, what's going to happen? Are we going to be in the air together? Like,
Yes.
or not?
Now, the other thing I was going to add to the end of this is let's say you squeeze her, but what if you were thinking trot or canter there? You didn't have enough energy
No, I
to
didn't.
go. You don't have a yes ma'am answer to go forward. Okay? And so baseline would just work on that. Okay? And so what I would do for that is I would squeeze, I would not kick. I would not kick. Boom.
Like ever.
I would tap.
With a
It's so much more
with
effective.
a crop or with a dressage?
Anything. You could have a string on your wrist. You could
I
have
could do
a
a string would be probably.
Do we have one somewhere? I would also like to take this off.
Take it off.
I don't think that's.
I don't think it's effective, and I think you're right. You just unhook it from my homemade straps, and you're welcome to take it off.
So the way I'd have you put this on is you're going to fold it in half like this and run it through. And then you're going to try to be really consistent with your hands. You could still have, easiest step would be do it on a loose rein. Then you can gradually take up a little more contact as you do it and like practice. And you basically just hold the reins like that. And you could just gradually draw up on them more and more as you want to make this progressively more difficult.
Okay.
But for now, let's do it on a bit of a loose rein like what you have now. So here's what you would do. You would squeeze, or like life up, squeeze. Okay, if say you were thinking trot, I think we're gonna do halt to trot for now.
Okay.
She doesn't trot. You're gonna reach down, and this is a little short. You're gonna reach down, and you're just gonna give her a little swat, not much, because what you're not trying to do is make it happen now. You're trying to let her understand that first, these are the sequence of cues, and so I'm asking you to get more disciplined about your sequence of cues on how you go. Because as long as you're fair with how you're asking her, then she has no excuses at that point. Okay? If you have to spank her, again, this is another tricky part, you're going to stop.
Stop moving.
Yeah, I call it resetting.
Okay.
So when I say reset, a lot of people think I mean stop. Reset is go back to wherever you were at before you asked. Okay?
Okay.
And so if we're standing still and you have to go to a spank and she doesn't say yes, it's like we're just going to relax and settle again for a moment, and then bring your life up, ask again, squeeze, she's not going, spank, reset. And even if you spank and then she trots off, we're still going to reset.
We are, okay.
Because we're not going to no longer accept,
You have to be spanked to move.
fine,
Yeah.
I'll finally go. We're not, that's okay. It needs to be yes ma'am.
I ask for clarity, then you're retraining the actual cue, not the go in that moment. Is that why you're not accepting the trot if she offers it?
I'm not tolerating the attitude behind it. And so like there's I look at it, I don't know what the cues are. If I'm changing the cues, you can put the cues to whatever you guys want the cues to be. The point is to have a sequence of cues. You don't build lightness by going right to a high level of pressure. You build lightness by doing less first, okay? Then the accountability aspect is about training her to have a better response to pressure, a higher quality. When you asked her just now, she said, fine. You were at a pretty strong level of pressure of squeezing. You didn't spank her yet, but you were squeezing and she just barely walked off.
My teenage daughter.
Okay? So a better response than that is yes. And she goes, moves off, okay? But there's a worse response. No. And that's when she hops up, that's when she's saying, no, I'm not going or I can't go, but it's a no either way, okay? And so when you have to spank and then she goes, we're not going to accept that because that was a fine and she only went because you spanked her. So then we're going to reset and we're going to do it again. And from now on, you're only going to accept quality responses. For 5 days, I would say 5 rides, you could accept she trots off by squeezing. That's acceptable. But eventually, I would like to get it where you just think about it going and she's right there with you.
So when you say reset, I halt her.
Yes,
Like
softly.
if she is moving forward or whatever, I need
You
to stop
softly
her
bring her
feet.
back to a halt. You're just
Okay.
reset. Let's try that again.
Okay.
It's like you ever hear a parent, they say to their kid, they say, "Hey, could you pick that up for me?" And they're like, and they're like, "Excuse me," and they go, "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." And then they change their attitude, and that because like otherwise they're going to be on hot lava if they don't. And so that's what you're doing is you're adding in an accountability to the go button.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it.
So we're gonna go that way because.
So we'll relax, life up, squeeze. Okay, reset again, come back to a standstill. Life up, squeeze, think trot,
Oh, think trot.
spank, one spank,
Hold
one
on.
spank.
I didn't.
Now reset.
Okay. So I have a question. I typically ask her to trot with a double cluck first.
Whatever you want to
Okay,
use.
because I
So
skipped that, so I want to.
if you're double cluck, what I would do then is I would go life up, double cluck,
Yes.
then squeeze.
That's what I wanted to confirm.
Yep. And so
Okay.
by the time you get to the string, it's your 4th cue. And that's again how we know there's resistance there. It's like I've given you 3 cues,
Yeah.
3
I'm gonna use
chances
the
to
double
say
cluck.
yes
The
and
double
go.
cluck she knows. Okay.
Life up.
Okay.
Now stop. Reset. Now you went life up. 1, 2, 3. You went through all the cues really quick.
Okay.
Let them all have time. Life up. Squeeze. Yeah. Much better. And come back to a walk. And just practice that sequence a couple times. Just remember, separate your cluck from your leg squeezing.
Yeah, I'm bad about that. That's been one of my struggles.
So literally that difference maybe between you riding her and Christy riding her
Yes,
could be the difference.
I know. I'm shutting down.
Life up. Good. Very nice. Go ahead and bend her around.
Oh, bend around, sorry.
I want everything to get soft and nice. I want her soft on that inside rein because I think she kind of knows how to do this, but I would say she's like a 4 or 5 out of 10 at it. I'd like her to be a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Like
Okay.
pretty good at it. Yep, bend her and hold her in that bend and really feel the hindquarters yield away. Lift up on that rein a hair more. Lift it. And feel for when the hip moves and the front end slows down even more. Right there. Okay, so that's important because the opposite of rearing is her putting her weight on her front end and yielding her hindquarters. It's the exact opposite of it. And let's ride down there by where you tacked her up, and then I want you to ride out of it just in case it gets exciting again.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna test.
Okay.
Usually 1 to 7 instead of 1, 2, 3.
We are committing to this.
See if you can trot.
Oh. Oh, I didn't want to kick. I wasn't supposed to
Yay.
kick. Sorry.
No, you're great.
I kicked.
So come on back around over here. And actually, probably what you should do when you're done riding her is get off of her out there.
I will.
And take her down here. Yeah.
Hey.
All right, so you just had a ride on her and gave you some different things to try. Tell us what your thoughts are now.
My first thought is relief because I really like this horse and I see that just with a few minor adjustments with my energy and my ability to like take a breath and think gives her time to think and we can meet in the middle on that. I think that's important for me to know because it's really easy when she starts to act bad. I A, worry, B, get mad, and then all the energy is like uncontrollable and then it doesn't go well. So I think that's my biggest take home from this is slow down, think about it, and then start over and then make it smoother so we're both on the same page, energy-wise and thought-wise.
Perfect. Said it better than I could. All right, well, thank you very much for having me out, Carrie. It was a pleasure working with you.
If you guys can, get on Ryan's Patreon page. I've been watching it for a while. I've been watching his videos for longer, which led me to call him and get his help. And I think that you can learn a lot on Patreon, and he can even become your digital coach online if you need his help with your horse and he can't get to you as fast as he got to me.
Thank you very much. I didn't even pay her to say that.